And they will, of course, share their experiences about the market, and we will have opportunities for questions as well. And in the end, I will share a little information about an opportunity for Danish companies to join us at the Saudi Food Manufacturing Exhibition later this year. I have to say that we will be recording this webinar, so I hope everybody is fine with that, but you are free, of course, to shut your camera and your microphone and not say anything if you want to be completely anonymous. I think that was all the practicalities, and then let me just share a little bit of the program here. I hope you can see my screen. And now I just wanted to change. Yes, so in 1 minute, I'll give the word and the screen to Ikram Sabir from the Danish Embassy in Riyadh. She'll share a little bit about the market insights. After that, Noah Badi from Skov, a Danish company, will share their experience in the Saudi market. And then I will conclude with a little bit about this exhibition and some closing remarks. And we should have plenty of time for questions. So please use the chat or put your hand up for any questions, and then we will try to fit them in to suit the program. So first of all, Ikram, I hope that you will share your own screen, because that's easier, then you're completely in control, and I will give the word to you.
Thank you, Rike. Good afternoon, everyone. So, as you may know, my name is Ikram Sabir, trade advisor for food and agriculture based in Saudi Arabia at the Danish Embassy in Riyadh. And really nice to meet all of you. I'm just gonna share my screen and discuss a little bit about doing business in Saudi Arabia and the Vision 2030, the opportunities, market entry, and a little bit of a general overview. Can you all see my screen?
Yes. Just
Perfect.
put it in full screen.
Yes, I think it's all
good.
Perfect.
You're all good.
Thanks. So welcome. As I said, we'll start with an executive summary, some general figures, following that Vision 2030 drivers, key opportunities area for for Danish suppliers, and market entry considerations, which is all challenges and things to consider, and the major local partners. So the today subject is all about the food processing equipment market. So that's where all the market research and analysis and discussion of today would be focused on. So the Saudi Arabia food processing equipment is an exceptional opportunities for Danish supplier, because it's driven by $302+ million. That's 2024 figures, with market value forecasted to reach $800+ million by 2030. And the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is willing to invest $10 billion for food security under the Vision 2030, combined with approximately 80% of import. So the food processing market is was weighted at $650 million in 2024 and forecasted to $940 million 9 years later, which is an average 4.2%. The market size in general is almost $32 billion, with the growth rate of 8.7, which is something to consider, and again with 80% food met by imports. So the key highlights of the market which were considered in making this research was the meat, poultry, and seafood processing equipment, valued at 3.16. The cooling and freezing equipment market, which is growing at 3% almost, at a value of 1.11, I would say, million. The automatic equipment dominates with 270 million market share, and the world's largest food industrial park, Jeddah Food Cluster. We would look at it later on during the presentation. The key market drivers are, of course, the rapid urbanization. I assume that you have looked a little bit into Saudi Arabia, but it's going really fast and really remarkable. Of 80% by 2030, the population growth, which is also following the urbanization, for 40 million by 2030, the tourism expansion, 4.2 million, and the mega projects, NEOM, Jeddah Food Cluster, and some more. Please, just because I can see only my screen, if there is a question, please just stop me because I can't see the chat or I can't see the hand.
We'll do that. Yes.
Thank you. Perfect. So the overall food processing equipment market, I tried to divide it on 4 parts just to give a deep dive onto sectors. So the first part, the overall food processing market, the food processing machinery is valued at 0.65 billion, forecasted to almost 1 billion US dollar. The food service equipment is 1,654 million dollar, forecasted to double in 2030, with the food packaging equipment valued at 416 million and forecasted to be almost 600 million USD. So we're gonna deep dive into the meat and poultry processing. The market value of the meat and poultry processing is almost 77 million US dollar and forecasted to double into 2032. And the meat processing equipment specifically is on average 160 million US dollar, and which was valued in 2024 and forecasted to be 210 US dollar in 2030. And the portioning equipment fast growing at almost 10%. And that's on average figures of 2024 and 2025. Obviously, no 2026 yet, the year just started. And the dairy processing, we have the dairy products in the market valued at 6.04 billion. And the calculation estimated to be 7.37 billion in 2030. And already reach self-sufficiency, which is under the umbrella of the Vision 2030 by 109%, and targeting to be 150% self-sufficiency by 2030. And Al-Marai is one of the big players in Saudi for dairy, and they have an initiative of almost 4 billion US dollar for 5-year investment between 2024 and 2028. Moving on to the bakery processing, Saudi Arabia holds 45% revenue share of the Middle East bakery processing in the market, and the bakery equipment is valued at 6 billion and aiming to be 10.5 billion US dollar in 2032. And ovens dominate with over 30% market share. For the seafood, the fish production expected to increase 500% by 2025 and will add nearly 1 billion USD to economy through exports. So just to move to the Vision 2030, I'm assuming not everyone knows exactly what is it. So I will define that in a bit. So the self-sufficiency targets, So the self-sufficiency target, that's the status and versus the 2030 goals that the kingdom is willing to achieve. So as we previously just stated, the dairy in 2024 was already overachieved by 109%, and still aiming to push more and to grow more in 2030 by 150%. And still the growth needed is 41% expansion. Same for the eggs, 116%, and we are not aiming as the kingdom in Saudi Arabia to produce more, but more to focusing on exports. The poultry is between 60 to 72% and aiming to be self-sufficient at 100% in 2030, which comes to for a need of 40 to 67% increase. For the red meat, we are at 61%, aiming to be self-efficient by 2030, of course, reaching the 100%. And seafood, 48%, between 48 and 55 in 2024, and aiming a growth of 22 to 45% increase. So the investment program and the government funding, that is a subvention by the government to push and to support the Vision 2030, is 10 billion USD for food security investment plan. Over 24 billion US dollar invested in environment, water, and agriculture. And the Agricultural Development Fund is approved 17.3 billion US dollar financing. And the Vision 2030, $17 billion was allocated to poultry development by a government subsidy covering 50% irrigation equipment cost, 100% shipment of imported cows, and 30% for dairy farm equipment. So coming to the Saudi Vision 2030, it's a long-term national plan launched by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to reduce their dependence on oil production and gas and all of that, and move on to improving the quality of life by being self-sufficient, having more food security and more safety, and focus on businesses and sustainability. For the key opportunities area for Danish suppliers, we actually have assisted to a Danish-Saudi collaboration by the visit of Jacob Jensen, the Denmark's Minister of Food, last year, a year ago in February 2025, and it was a delegation showcasing dairy and processing solution in Riyadh. And the whole program highlighted that Denmark's world-class strengths are in food processing, sustainability, and agricultural solution, bringing together business and innovation and gastronomy. And some key highlighted the key points of the discussion were high-level meetings with public and private sector leaders to explore any partnership aiming and focusing on sustainability. A culinary showcase combining Danish flavor with a Saudi twist, demonstration the intersection or the collaboration between the two cultures, and a business seminar on sustainable food processing and nourishing the dialogue between Saudi and Danish stakeholders on future collaboration. And basically the visit was some sort of statement that Denmark's strong commitment to deepening cooperation with Saudi Arabia in priority areas such as food security, sustainability, and innovation, which is again under the umbrella and aligning with the Vision 2030 ambitions. To move on, still on the same subject about the opportunities, we have a strong bilateral foundation. The Danish exports are valued of $803.7 million in 2024, by some focus area within pharma, cheese, and tech, with a trade surplus of 688 million. So for the processing equipments, what we've seen and what could basically be pushed into market and still align with the Vision 2030 within meat, dairy, and poultry are the advanced processing tech, automation, and quality control, and still considering Denmark's edge, which is the world-class dairy expertise. For the food safety and tech, we have the innovation focus, which is all about the traceability systems, cold chain, packaging tech, innovative solutions basically within the food safety. And again, that aligns with the Vision 2030, food security, quality, sustainability, all of that. And then automation and industry 4.0, considering that Saudi Arabia is growing within these focus and being more digital and more automated and have and depend on AI and robotics. We consider automatic equipments of $270 million for a market share almost of 50%, and AI and robotic transforming production efficiency, which they consider as very innovative. For the strategic infrastructure developments, we have the Jeddah food cluster that we have, that I have said before. So it's huge, 11 million square meter, with an investment of 20 billion Saudi riyal, which is approximately 6.3, 6.5 US dollars, only for that food sector, food cluster, sorry, and expected contribution would be 8 billion to national exports over next decade. And that is expected to add 7 billion to the GDP. The opportunity window here for the Danish suppliers are new facilities that require complete equipment installation. So we enter the food cluster and starting from zero and being there from the beginning, focus on sustainable and automated production, and export-oriented production targeting the GCC and global markets. So we have the regional production hubs, which are obviously smaller than the Jeddah food cluster, but they are still something to consider and to look into. We have the Eastern region, 32.5% of dairy market share in Al Kharj dairy cluster, with 2.5 billion kilogram capacity. The port access to facilitate ingredients import and GCC export. Obviously, we need the port to get our things in the kingdom, and establishing an industrial base and cold chain infrastructure. And that all falls into the processing equipment and the food safety and technologies and all of that. The Western region is the highest growth projection with a 5.02 to 2030. The Jeddah Commercial Gateway and Red Sea Economic Zone development. Jeddah is coastal, so they have much more nice things than Riyadh. And the religious tourism driving food service demand. And then the Jeddah food cluster is emerging as one, as I said, the world's largest food parks in the world. And so it's emerging as one of Saudi Arabia's most strategic hubs for food processing and distribution, and combining logistic efficiency by the ports and all of that, by being strategically good located, with market access, integrated food processing ecosystem, the Vision 2030 and food security alignment, sustainability and innovation focus, gateway for international SMEs, and competitive setup and operating environment. And the market entry considerations to consider as SMEs are their regulatory approval and food safety, scalability and long-term strategy, market entry model, cold chain and logistics, pricing and cost structure, local partners and distribution channels, competition and differentiation, sustainability and Vision 2030 alignment. Of course, that is on a bigger scale, and it's a case-by-case situation, but that's what comes often and repeatedly. We have the technology and innovation trends at the moment: health and wellness, processing, alternative proteins and sustainability, and smart farming integration. For the local partners and end users, we have I have separated them in two major players. So the tier one integrators, we have Almarai, one of the biggest world's largest vertically dairy, 38,000 employees. Sabula Group, major dairy stakeholders. We have Sadafco, launched 50,000 ton capacity depot in Mecca. Nadec, also a major dairy and agriculture player. We have Tanmia Food Company, poultry and food processing. Al Watania Poultry, leading poultry producer, and I guess Noah knows better Al Watania. And for the regional players, we have Americana Foods, new manufacturing plant with farm frites, Sunbula for frozen and processed food, and Al Kabir Group halal ready-to-eat products. And thank you very much. And I'm taking questions, and I'm turning off my screen so I could see everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ikram. Yes, it's always hard to sit and make a presentation to your own slides, and but we were listening very carefully to everything you were saying. An awful lot of numbers. I heard like billion US dollars investments like multiple times. So I guess
in Saudi we talk billions only.
Exactly. So I guess that the key word here is potential and opportunity, but of course also with some considerations to the market. But let's see if were there any questions in the chat? No. Any of you listening in who have questions for Ikram? No, you were just covering everything, Ikram.
And I think I confused with the numbers.
Yes, there was a lot of numbers, but it just goes to show the whole picture.
Of course.
Yes, we have Navid. And yes, we will share the slides. Sorry. Yes.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me right now?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Ikram, for your nice presentation. I have a question regarding this halal food processing sector in Saudi Arabia compared to non-halal food processing in terms of regulatory requirement, market size, and also industry growth. How is it going?
So again, Saudi Arabia falls into a part where it's growing very fast. So sometimes the regulation are not following and they're not anticipated. So when it comes to halal, we have a little bit of a hard time, I would say, because we have only one part of it that we have to follow. We cannot go over. And for example, we had a case where we have some certification, halal certification from Denmark. And then if that body is not certified by the SFDA, then we cannot do the halal certification and all. But as I said, it's a case by case. We have to look into it from all the sides. We can just assume only one thing.
Okay, because normally the halal requirement and standardization it's a very strict and local in some countries like Malaysia and Saudi Arabia. So that's why I would like to know, for those suppliers who want to contribute to this plan of 2030 in Saudi Arabia, how much they should be concerned or at least consider it to the plan, to the design, and towards the future.
For the food processing market, I'm not sure if there is any halal certification needed for it, but I know for the food it is. And for the food, everything has to be halal and also Arabic labeled.
Okay.
Everything. But the food because today, I guess it's the food processing industry, not necessarily has to be halal in all the ways. But for the food, obviously, everything has to be halal, as you know, when it's necessary.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome.
Thank you for that question, Navid, and I totally
pleasure.
agree. It's more for the food, and maybe Noah in a minute will be able to also share some of that. But there could be other regulatory certificates and
Of
other
course.
barriers that you would need for the equipment side and not for the food
Of
side.
course.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Noah, you had your hand up also?
Yeah, just a comment on that. I know when it comes to food, usually, for example, here in Spain, there is a company that will certificate your product that is halal, and they used to have like a recognized certification. So it's something you do it locally to be able to export. Correct me, Ikram, if I'm wrong. But what I know here in Spain, so you have a product you want to export and you want to comply with that. So you ask for certification. Sometimes if you have a processing plant, for example, in Spain, they come, they visit, they check the document, they ask you for documentation, and it's just a process to get the certificate. And then your product is certified halal. You can have the same line that can work halal and no halal. So you are covering halal, which is more strict. And then you have, or you have two production line. Because I know it's from some Spanish companies here.
No, you're right, Noha. Basically, we submit to the SFDA the halal certification from Denmark, basically, from a certified body in Denmark. Any other question?
Thank you. But I guess I hope you will stay on, Ikram, if somebody has a later question.
Of course.
But I think that we can give the word on to Noah. You can share a little bit about Skov and the company, but for sure we would really like to hear your experiences, good and bad, in the entering the Saudi market and working with Saudi Arabia from a Danish company perspective. So I will shut my microphone and let you speak. I don't know if you have any slides to share, but
I have. I asked Sandra, and she told me that 20 minutes they need some slides to make it easier to handle.
It's easier to keep focus.
But usually, so First of all, thank you, Ricky, for the presentation. Sandra, thank you for the invitation, and Ikram, thank you for the information about the markets. Of course, Ikram, the presentation was more about macro, to have a global idea, big numbers. It will be more about, if you go to export, what is the daily things in general, or how to do it, what are the struggles. I will share the presentation. I try to do a good presentation. If it's not good, just say it's good. Okay, so I did my best. Okay, so we have 1 minute. Can you see the screen?
Yes, thank you.
So my name is Noah. I'm taking care of Saudi Arabia and the sub-Saharan African market, but since I started in Skov, so as we've seen a big potential in Saudi, so I'm focusing mainly in Saudi. So for the last 6 years, my market is Saudi. So I spent almost half of the year in Saudi, visiting Saudi for the last 6 years. So just I will give you an idea about scope, which I will not spend here a lot of time because you're not interested to know about scope. It's more about the market. So scope, we are specialized in poultry, ventilation system and farm management. We are a Danish company, like we're in the business for the last 50 years. This is more or less to have an idea what we do, the equipment. Yeah, this is we are in basically giving ventilation solutions and farm management. But the important thing is not this. I'm not here to talk about scope. So this, to talk about the Saudi market, I said it's very important to have a perspective, something as a reference. I said, okay, all the companies, they are Danish, and we are talking about the Saudi market. So always to compare. So the GDP of Saudi 3 times the Danish one, the population is 6 times the Danish one, and the territory is 50 times the Danish one. So this just I use it to have a perspective. In Saudi, if you go from the farthest point to the other one is around 1,800 kilometers. It's like going from Copenhagen, passing to Madrid, and ending in Lagos in Portugal. So just to give you an idea, because sometimes in Saudi, between one meeting and the other one, you will have 2 hours flight. This just to give you a perspective. But of course, as Saudi is very big, I will tell you also, like, in a way, I can divide it in this region. You have the Eastern Province, which is the key city is Dammam, whereas the biggest companies, the biggest offices is mainly in Dammam. Then we have Riyadh as the region of Riyadh. Then we have Jazan, we have Mecca and Jeddah, we have Medina, and we have Tabuk. Okay, I tried here just to, of course, with the help of the artificial intelligence, just to give you an idea, like each region, what is specialized on. Like Eastern Province, there's oil, gas, and petrochemicals. You know that the biggest Saudi company, I think one of the biggest worldwide companies, Aramco, is based in Eastern Province. And then Riyadh, almost all the government offices and now the businesses, they are based there. Then we have Medina and Mecca, Jeddah. This, that's a pilgrimage. Is more about also the religious tourism. And then we have Tabuk, Neom, the futurist innovation, the futurist cities that they are building there. So this is an idea, but doesn't mean that in this region only these industries. For example, Skov. Now, to give you an idea, we started in the Saudi market around, I think the first project we did around 12, 13 years ago. And now we have some projects in the MAM area. We have in Riyadh, we have in Abha, we have in Jeddah, we have in different regions of Saudi. Now, just if we put in perspective, the big differences, okay? Because at the end, you are a Danish company going to do business in Saudi. So is the challenge? I can say that the challenge is not the product. The challenge is not the technology, because we can, Denmark is known by innovation, by efficiency, by quality. So this is a given thing. The challenge is always the cultural differences. The way we, as a Danish person, as a Danish company, we understand how business usually is done, and then we go to Saudi expecting is more or less should be something similar, but is different. But again, I focus on different. Is different. It doesn't mean that it's complicated. It's different. It's like the different culture, different way of doing things, different way of analyzing things sometimes. So in Saudi, the decision just to have here in the list, I said you have trust, relationship, internal alignment, procurement, and contact. This is what will be the decision flow. But if you see the first two is trust and relationship. In Middle East and in Saudi, the relationship plays a huge role. Okay, in a European mindset and Danish mindset, which is also relationship is important, but we are or German, it will be okay. You give me the technical specification. I will see if it's a good product. I will see the company, the reputation of the company, and they will see the price. And if it's that fit of what I'm looking, so probably can be, clear that okay, we can do business. In the Middle East and in Saudi, the Arab countries in general is this is important, but if I don't trust you, if I don't consider that they have a relationship with you, that they can trust you, it's very complicated to go to do the business together. So here I just then later I will give you just real examples. There is just from the Danish perspective, Denmark, how we see things, and mainly in business and in Saudi. So in Denmark, we know we are process driven, direct communication. Direct communication means is good, is not good. I like it, I don't like it. If you think that is not working, you will say probably will not work. And we try to give as direct feedback as possible. Okay, there's flight hierarchy. And predictable timelines, meaning that we discuss and he can tell you, okay, we can take a decision in 2 weeks, and in 2 weeks you come back and mainly really take a decision, so they are following the time. No, now we go to the Saudi or the Arabic guys. Saudi is relationship driven. If I don't trust you, if there's no, and this is why you will see a lot, just the difference. A standard meeting in Denmark, we start at 1 and we go to the point. It happens to me as I'm working for a Danish company. The advantage they have that is a bit mixture. I'm from Morocco, I'm living in Spain, and working for a Danish company, working in Saudi Arabia. My girlfriend's from Greece, so I have this, in some way I can adapt and see the difference. Sit from one side and see the other side, and sometimes sit on the other side and also understand the other side. So in Saudi Arabia, is relationship driven, is very important. In direct communication, but here in direct communication means that people often will not say exactly what they mean in a direct or explicit way, especially when the message could be can create some tension, okay, or disagreement. And here the goal is mainly to protect the relationship, is to not be harsh to the other part, and just to a direct way will be, no, this will not work, or this price is too high, or we're not interested. That will be like a direct communication. A Saudi will tell you, okay, we will think about it, inshallah, maybe later, let us revise this, and usually this means sometimes no, sometimes not now, but it's not said directly, okay? And again, this because they put the relationship above the decision in a way. And this is the reason. So a direct no can be considered as a bit harsh, a bit too direct. So I will focus more about these aspects, because again, the Danish companies, in terms of quality, in terms of technology, in terms of the thing that to be on time, structured, reliability is already known and is really well perceived in the Saudi market, which is a very good thing. Okay, but here we have to see that how we can be able to adapt all these good things, but also like to be able to communicate with the Saudi market, to communicate with the Saudi companies, to do that click, to be able to build the relationship. So now, just to give you the how was like for the last 6 years. For me as a company, we are trying to go to the Saudi market. Is a huge market, is a market that's with a huge potential. Of course, I'm in the poultry business, and since COVID and with the Vision 2030, the government has a very clear target, which is to be self-sufficient, to not to depend. I think that's in a way, many countries, they realize that the COVID, because feeding your population, you cannot stop that. And in extreme cases, you will start, all the governments, all the companies, they will start by their own countries. And if there's something left, then you can export. So Saudi said, okay, we cannot depend on that. Was like a situation that's waken up a lot of countries, but Saudi is really focused to be self-sufficient. So, and Saudi is passing from a country that was importing a lot. The majority of goods, of product was imported. Now they want to be self-sufficient. There's a huge potential. Now the poultry, we are talking 60%. Imagine that 40% is still a huge investment on poultry, and other sectors is also more or less should be the same, or even there's more potential. Not only to be self-sufficient, Saudi now is targeting to export to the neighbors countries, like to be self-sufficient, and above that to be able to export. Now with the some issues of the when United States, they have some issue with the eggs, and was a big demand of eggs. United States, there already some local companies, they started exporting to United States. Of course, before Saudi is known by exporting oil, as the biggest oil producer, but now the mentality, the government has changed totally and said, okay, now we have to export. We should not rely only on oil, but in everything. So not only there's potential to be self-sufficient, but it's also like to be able to export. So you have to produce more than what you need. This is one thing. So for the companies, they're not in Saudi. The way I would start, okay, or the way, and this is the things that also we have done. It saves a lot of energy, a lot of resources going in a delegation, or what they call like a trade mission that usually is made by the Danish embassy in Saudi, or as now we are talking about Saudi. Why? Because this first, to be going through a Danish embassy, it opens a lot of doors. When you call and said, hey, I'm Ikram, I'm calling from the Danish embassy, we have a delegation, we have this company want to meet, they will receive it as a different, that I call, hi, I'm Noah from Skov, I want just to see if there's possible. So there's one thing. So this is a real advantage that opens the doors easily. The second, in a trade, in a delegation, usually you go, as you are setting up the meetings, you already go to meet people, they're already interested in your product. Why? Because usually the meeting used to be with relevant people, like management level, and managers, they will not just waste their time if they're not really interested. So you sit with people, they're really interested in your product, okay? And that and used to be an agenda, which also you can prepare yourself, because before you go, you will know that you are visiting this company, so you can do your research and you can be ready, well prepared before you go to the trade mission. So this is, I think, is number one in terms of what as time and money investment. That as a result, I think, is the most efficient one. Then the second one I said exhibition. And the exhibition, the first time I would go as a visitor. Go as a visitor to the exhibition that is specialized in your product. But that will give you what I call like market intelligence. This will give you a lot of valuable information, because you will talk about with potential customers, you will talk about with suppliers they already in the market, you will talk to people, you will know probably potential represented, how to say, dealers in the local markets. But then that as a first step, you collect a lot of information, okay? And then as a second level in that, going as a visitor is to be as you have your own booth and present in the market, which also helps a lot because people that will visit you, you can present your company to potential customers. So these two. Then there's a third way, which also can it's also like will help a lot, but it requires more resources, it requires more time. But the Saudi market is really need full attention if you want. It's not a market that you will go once every 3 months and you expect you will get business. Again, the relationship it doesn't get built by visiting once a year or twice a year. The relationship, as all the relationships, as a friendship relationship or a relationship with your wife, is not one day. Is a continuous thing until you build that relationship. And then, of course, when you build trust, you will not need that intensity. So the same with the customers. At the beginning, until they trust you, you should be there. They should see you that you're not a company just passing by, looking for some projects and leaving. And this is camps that need time. Saudi market is you should have a mid-long term strategy. Is not a short strategy. It doesn't work. In our case, just give you as an example. Of course, we worked long time ago with in Saudi, and we have a very good customer with Al Marai. Is the biggest customers we have in the Middle East and probably worldwide. But we was not focused. We have the biggest customer, but we was not focusing on the market to be. So we were selling to the biggest player. But in the last 6 years, the company that they said, okay, now we have to focus. There's a huge potential. We have to build a real market. So there is visiting. I have a list of the biggest customers in the market. Visit. I have customers that I've been visiting 2 years until and the example is just in the MEM area. One of our customers, it took me 2 years to sell the first 5 controllers, which is in terms of business is nothing. Now after 5 years, we have 200 complete houses with these customers. But of course, you have to. This is a way like investing. At the beginning, you have to invest. You have to visit customers. Then with the time nowadays, if you have a technical product that need spare parts, that need maintenance, that need after sales service, this is also a key point that Scopus will work on it. And now we have a local partner for the service, because if you have that is a way to give also trust. It's not to give a machine that your production will depend on. And then if I need something, you have to wait until you send me a supervisor from Denmark. This sometimes is a thing that they can worry a customer in Saudi. But if you say yes, but they have a spare part stock with my service partner, that whenever you need it, you just take a phone and we will send it to you. Of course, when Scope we started at the beginning, we didn't have a service partner. When the customer needs something, we have to send one of our colleagues, or from Tunisia, where we have an office, or from Saudi. But now, in the last 3 years, we have a service partner. So it's just like to give you that you need to be patient, but it pays. It's worth the investment. If it's worth the patience in a way. I started.
Noah, I'm gonna jump in here because because it's very, very interesting, and I think it's very, very useful and very concrete, and some really really interesting insights from your experiences. But I just wanted to make sure if we had somebody who had a specific question or wanted to hear more about something specific, that we would open to that, and if not, you can continue a little longer. Yes, Joachim?
Yes, hello, my name is Joachim, and I have a question. We are the company Sane from Sweden, and we are developing food safety products. And when we are developing these products, they are following both EU and FDA regulations. Do we need to think about other regulations, or does Saudi Arabia follow these or any of these regulations, or do we need other regulations that we should follow to be able to sell the products into Saudi Arabia?
Usually in the Saudi market, if you are a European company, because in terms of regulation, I think Europe is the most strict one. It's considered that you are covering, but probably in certain businesses they can have something very specific, But in general, coming from Europe, they don't used to make any question about, because they know that Europe is the most strict one in terms of technical regulation, in terms of all the regulation, safety regulation, etc., etc. But it's good that if you are going to a specific business, because sometimes you see some specific business, they are requesting some specific certification. I don't know, ISO, whatever. So in that, just in case, but in general, and this usually your customer should guide you, because if someone is buying from you, he will tell you, yes, but you have this, or this same question, because if you're already in the business as someone who's going to buy a production line or a processing line, you should know about this, and he should know it more. But in general, what I've seen, no, they never ask, because the reason is that Europe is the most strict one in terms of regulations. So we used to cover more.
Okay.
But
good.
it's always good to ask.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? I don't see any hands.
This cultural thing, Rike, just now I'm reading a book that's really interesting called Cultural Map. And
yes.
it's really interesting.
Know it, yes.
It is really interesting how we can say the same thing, and you move from one area to another area and can be understood totally different. So this is sometimes, as I said, Swedish companies or Danish company, the quality, the product, technology is a given thing. I think more we struggle to be able to fit, and it's like you speak different language.
Yes.
So I will pay more attention to that.
Yes, I think you are absolutely right, and I think you have some really good observations in terms that it's not the product or the quality or the innovation, like Ikram was saying. This the road has been paved. There's already a good relation and a good foundation and a good impression of Danish products. So that's not the main issue. The issue is the patience and the understanding that the business environment works in a slightly different way, and that you need to be a little more long term in your approach to the market, and you need to understand that it can take time, or it will take time to build these relations before you get to the actual business. But like Ikram said, and you also said it, the potential is there. So once you do that, then you also really have a good chance of making a really good business case in the market as well.
But also to not say that everything is very nice and everything will be easy is not easy, because as we know, this is a good market. All the companies worldwide, they also want part of that market.
Yes.
So
the competition is hard.
So it will not be easy, but there's a potential. And if Scope is doing a business as a Danish company, and we've been doing for a long time, and there's more companies. Landmeko also, I think, did some business there. So there is potential. Danish companies, they have a plus, so that can be taken advantage of. And also the thing to look for a local partner. The reason is the following. Sometimes we have to recognize if we're not, it's like to have a translator. Understanding a culture is not something you will do it by reading a book, but there's things that, is more complicated than that. So having a local partner is just that bridge between you and the customer that's making sure that you really do the thing in the right way.
Yes. And like you were saying, you know, being present so that you can act fast. If something happens, they need to feel at least that somebody is close by and taking on the problem.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Noah, for this will you share your slides also with, yes,
of course.
we will send everything out afterwards. And before we round up, I just want to finish off by sharing a little information about upcoming events that we have. I assume that all of you have signed up for this webinar because you either are on your way to Saudi or you have an interest in the market. And like Noah said, there are different ways of penetrating the market, and probably you should be prepared to do all three of the suggestions that Noah made. But there is an option here for the Saudi food manufacturing exhibition where we will create a Danish pavilion where we will go together as a group, and it's in June in Riyadh. We have a report with from 2025 where you can see all the numbers, but it's 24,000 visitors from 70 countries. So it's rather big, and it's definitely within food processing, the major exhibit that takes place in Saudi Arabia. So it's a good platform for when you want to target Saudi Arabia, but also MENA in general, because of course they will have visitors not only from Saudi. And I can share that the application has been approved. So there's also co-financing from the ministry if you live up to the de minimis obligations, etc. We won't go into details with that. But we just want to say from Danish Export that we'll be making this pavilion of Denmark, and this means that you don't have to go there by yourself. We have increased the visibility, and we have the option of doing things together, hosting different events. And therefore, instead of going all by yourself to a new market, this could be very interesting. I know some of your companies here have probably already been part of a Danish pavilion before. But feel free to reach out to us if you have an interest in this, and we can share a lot more information on that. We will, like I said, have a pavilion in the Hall 3, processing and packaging. We, of course, have different options. You can go as an exhibitor, but you can also go and be a part of the pavilion as a visitor, so that you can use it as a base, but do what Noah was saying, be more exploring the exhibit yourself. So we have many different levels of participation. I want to finish on time, so I won't be talking a lot more. Thank you so much, Ikram and Noah, for sharing all these insights and information. Please feel free to check out the Danish Export's webpage for upcoming events and opportunities for export. And we will be sharing all the information and the slides and maybe the report on this exhibit opportunity to everybody who joined this webinar. So I wish you all a pleasant day. Thank you for joining, and we'll see you next time.
Have all a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.